Welcome in, everyone, to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here, as always, is Brit. And we got a lot of stuff to cover today. A lot of high and low emotions over the last week, to say the least. And then with the week coming up, we got Thanksgiving, and man, there's a ton to talk about today.
Yeah.
But first things first, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the show wherever you get your social media platforms. You can follow us at MHRT Network on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, so you can get notified whenever our shows go live on Mondays. Typically, they are at 6 Mountain Time, but we did this one a little earlier today just because there is, in fact, an Avalanche game, and we would not want to be the people that would broadcast live over that. We want everyone to enjoy an entire 60 minutes of Avalanche hockey because it is a pleasure to watch. And then you can also follow us individually, the Cluster Puck Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Cluster Puck Avs. On Facebook, you can do the Cluster Puck Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts, you can also email us at the Cluster Puck Podcast at gmail.com. I actually think it's just Cluster Puck Podcast at gmail.com, actually. So I apologize. First things, that's right. You guys, it'll be full of just emotional outbursts, honestly. So first things first, Britt. Thanksgiving's coming up. I have to know. I ask everyone this question: what is your go-to Thanksgiving meal?
I'm like straight up traditional turkey. I love turkey. We actually bought 2 this year, so we can make an extra one. I like
very nice
soups and stuff all winter, so we can use it in place of chicken. Yeah, I love.
Do you do the after the turkey and stuff, because there's always leftovers, right? Do you do the little turkey sandwiches as well?
Yes, like the Hawaiian rolls.
Yeah, that's a staple. What's your go-to side?
I love green bean casserole and mashed potatoes. Basically, if it's a carb, I'm probably. I love Thanksgiving food.
Do you do the candied yams at all, or the yams with the marshmallows?
No, that's my only. It's a texture thing. It's not my.
I'd agree.
Same with cranberry. That's
you can't do cranberry.
Yeah, I always bust out a can of canned cranberry because my mom likes it, and that's. Oh my gosh, just pouring it out every time. I'm like, nope, don't even want to try it. It's turkey, your guys' go-to?
Turkey is also the go-to choice. Same thing, turkey sandwiches for leftovers for the next probably like 3.5 years.
Yeah.
But the leftover, or excuse me, not the leftovers, the side of choice for me, it is the like mashed potatoes and gravy. That's like my go-to anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
But I love stuffing. Oh
really?
My gosh, that stuff is so good.
It's a weird reheater though. You got to cook it right.
You do, and it has been botched before in the past.
Yeah.
I've tried it botched, but usually it's so good, and there's just so many great sides, and that's why Thanksgiving is like one of my favorite holidays, because Christmas, it's you're with family and all that stuff, and you get gifts and you give gifts and stuff like that's wonderful. But I can do that any other day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's only one day of the year where I can just be a glutton and not like feel bad about it.
So much pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. I'm as basic as a human can be.
Pumpkin pie, pumpkin rolls.
Yep, all of it.
Oh.
Well, and speaking of like eating Thanksgiving, we have a game the following day at 11 o'clock. The Avs play, I think it is. So
that's 11 o'clock.
Those guys aren't even going to get to eat their like one sweet potato allowance that Mac allows them every year. Because they have to play so early.
Their Thanksgiving comprises of chickpea turkey, chickpea rolls.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that game goes for both teams. We'll see, because that's Dallas again, isn't it?
Yeah, we got Dallas twice, Vancouver, and Nashville.
Yep.
Very interesting lineup. But first things first, let's go ahead and let's do our couple house cleaning items here. I don't know how you can open with house cleaning items, but we're going to do it either way.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's so much.
Technically, not us other than St. Louis. I mean, these shouldn't have been super compelling, wild games, but it's been.
But they decided to have them be unconventional.
So as you can see, a lot has happened.
Oh my gosh!
It's been a weird
It has.
games were pretty
It
awesome.
has.
So we started out with St. Louis. That was what, the 14th, Monday?
That was on Monday, I believe. Yeah, the
right after
14th.
we got off the pod.
Yeah, and we were just we were confident that we were going to win that game.
Right.
And well, long story short, we lost 3-2.
Yep.
And it's the last 2 minutes that I just can't wrap my head around. And there's I don't think it. Yeah, you're right. But it was the most unconventional thing because the last 2 minutes they get 2 penalties almost back to back.
Right.
And
so we had 155.
155. Yep.
Of 5-on-3.
Of a 5-on-3, and then
Yes.
maybe like 30 seconds or so after
55
that.
seconds.
55 seconds. We
6-on-3.
have a 6-on-3.
So I'd love
You
to know.
do
if you
not
compared,
see that.
Overseas stats to 6-on-3, like how often a team should technically score, because
that's the question that I was thinking though, is that kind of a too many cooks in the kitchen type
I don't
scenario?
think so, because when you consider that you're subtracting 2 of their players, it's not so many bodies on the ice, and you have 6 of those players looking to put the puck in the net. So technically they shouldn't be hindering.
Yeah, because there's still plenty of ice to go around. Even on like a 5-on-5 and it's a delayed penalty, you pull the goalie and it's a 6-on-5, and you usually can get some production out of that.
Right.
But a 6-on-3, I can't help but think they might have gotten in their own way by either waiting to shoot. Exactly. They were just, it's like there's 3 people on the team.
Because this year you have not seen Mac grip the stick nearly as much, and I think that he definitely has newfound confidence. I mean, he's a Stanley Cup winner, so he doesn't need to think about it so hard. So I think he's been a little more like loosey with his shots, but it was really weird to see both he and I think Rodriguez just chose to pass over a wide open. I mean, we had like 4 or 5 wide open nets.
Super.
Probably not going to sleep well for the next.
There was one that was within that 2 minutes. I think it was during the 5-on-3, if I'm not mistaken, that Makar, he could have just plopped it in the net. And he decides to pass, so it's like,
I don't know. They definitely looked like frazzled or something, because they were all Rodriguez, Mac, and Makar all seemed to be a little bit more hesitant to shoot tonight, which isn't something that we've noticed quite as much. We're definitely a more selective team for our shots, but I don't know. It's a weird conversation, because people are saying that we shouldn't have done the 6-on-5. But could you imagine if he hadn't pulled if you hadn't pulled him, it would have been.
Here's the thing: in what world would you not have done that?
Right.
And
if
it wouldn't make any sense.
And it would have looked like the most
exactly. Because I don't think there's any way that you'd be like, if I have the opportunity to put an extra man on there, I'd do it.
Right.
Unless there's some circumstance, which I can't think of any, where you would have to leave. I think, was it Georgiev that was in net for that game? I think it was.
And he did play well.
And he was fine.
39 shots. We had 47 shots on Binnington.
He played
hard for the Avs. I mean, we
I
are
don't get it.
the team that gives them that make right game, which is exactly what I did not want to do, because what do games like this do? They propel assholes like Binnington straight to the Stanley Cup again. They went like 3-8, and now they're like 3-8, and then they've won 3 more in a row. They've done nothing but streaks.
We were the pendulum game that just swung them right back into the winning streak.
Exactly. They were coming. This is the first time we've seen them since we beat them in the playoffs, and they truly felt like we robbed them of that. So this was a lot bigger game for them mentally, and that's Binnington. I mean, that's what he thrives off of, because he's just a psycho. So I hate to say it, but he played.
He played so good.
He
did.
Was on his stomach and he paddled it towards himself. I mean, it looked like it went over the line. I must have watched it from the top 10 times. But yeah, I mean, he played amazing, and it sucks to say it, but we got goalied, and that's what happens. It drives me nuts.
These things happen, and it does seem that, and as defending Stanley Cup champions, everyone will bring your A game against you.
Yep.
Right?
Oh yeah, and this was
this is an exact kind of what you said. An example of it is Binnington took it personally from what the events of last season were, and he outplayed our offense, just plain and simple.
Mikko had an incredible game. He was
yeah.
the first star of the week last week in the NHL. I mean, Mikko is, and I think I said this last week too, I mean, he is truly establishing himself.
He really is.
Among the elites within the NHL. We've known, you know, we know what we have in Mikko. We pay him accordingly. And to a lot of people, he probably looked overpaid if you weren't an Avs, relatively loyal to watching the Avs. But this year, it kind of makes me, and this is just kind of a tangent, but it really makes me think that he was really sick last year in the playoffs when he got that like flu or whatever. And they said he lost like 20 pounds. I mean, he was good in the playoffs, but he is playing at a different level than we've ever seen him play. And I'm wondering if he was just never quite recovered through the playoffs last year. It sounds like he was very sick, not just like a cold or something, because they said he lost a bunch of weight, and I think this year he's, I mean, good year.
Absolutely.
So we really couldn't ask for much more out of him.
Yeah, and honestly, I think like if his production goes nowhere but up, I wouldn't be surprised to hear him in a Hart Trophy conversation.
No, not at all.
By any stretch. You know, he's playing to a different caliber this season, and you love to see it, first of all. But you just have to think there's going to start that conversation toward the end of the year of legit contenders, and if he's on pace, the pace that he's at, I don't see why he can't be in that conversation.
No, and it's especially because the NHL is tuning in right now, seeing how fractured we are. People are noticing that we're being carried by Georgie, Mac, and
Frankie.
I mean, it's a lot of it. And we are getting, you know, we're starting to see more from the depth. But I mean, really, it's very heavily weighted.
Yeah. And that's actually a good question that I was going to bring up is, how do you think our depth is doing over the last few games? Like who has stood out for the list of unlikely suspects?
You know, I think that the depth is coming together well. And I don't know if you can really consider Erod depth at this point, but like I said last week, he's doing awesome. England had his debut against St. Louis. I mean, he's been decent. I think these 3 games that we're discussing today, you've really seen the second and third line start to work more. We're seeing a little bit more. We got a goal out of Newhook. We got a goal out of Comfort. Got a goal, didn't he? Or did he just have the assist on that?
No, I don't remember Comfort having a goal. I know McDonald technically should have had one, but it went off of Cogliano's skate.
We'll call that one shared. That one was like, the camera, you're like, I still don't know.
I give that to McDonald myself.
Yeah, for sure. And McDonald, and I just love him. And I really, I think that Trouba is like my number 2 hated player behind Binnington. And
Allie, if you're listening, close your ears.
I just feel like Trouba stunted McDonald's career so much, and it just it makes me so mad, especially considering he went on to send like 3 more people.
Oh yeah, and you can tell he's on the up and up. He's kind of got that Logan O'Connor type energy, that he doesn't quit on the play, on any play. You know,
Logan O'Connor. I mean, when you're talking depth, he is the epitome of everything that you can ask for in a depth player. I love that guy so much, and he works so hard. And he's showing up to every game. You know, he makes some dumb mistakes, but I don't know what we would do without him at this point. I mean, he's just
because him and Cogliano, they're on your penalty kill, your first unit penalty kill, and they are phenomenal on that kill. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many times I can be like, if they have a lot of breakaway chances where they'll just poke it away and boom, they're gone off to the races. But they have a lot of them where it's amazing. But they have a lot of them where they'll poke it away, get it out of the zone. But if they were if they were positioned more correctly, I guess that's another breakaway chance. You know, they just do so well on that penalty kill. Exactly. So
butter.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. So the question then comes, like, who fills that normal spot given the injuries? You know, like Nichushkin's out for another 2 weeks. I don't know when. Landeskog's out until January, February. Who would you say is kind of the more staple down in that depth of the 4th line?
I I don't know, and I think that it's going to possibly. Meyers is coming back up soon, so I'm curious to see how that shakes out. Because we're left with one roster spot once we have the main guys back. That is if Helm
Yes.
may have just died. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I have not
So
heard anything on him.
I'm curious to see what happens with Ben Meyers because I've been like super frustrated with him not coming up. But I hadn't even realized that he had a long-term injury. I thought he was since back from that. But I believe he is playing with the Eagles again this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, him. I think, and I didn't know that either. Actually,
is he's doing good with the
you
Eagles?
said
So
Galchenyuk.
yes.
Yeah. How many games now? 4 games. 2
And
games.
he's had
points in all of
multi-goal
them.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just it sucks that we might end up saying like none of them will stick.
I know.
I think England maybe sealed his fate when he body checked their own goal. Yeah, and I don't hold it against him. I just think it's really, really funny.
Well, and the good news though about the depth though is they're not making, apart from that incident, they're not making these boneheaded mistakes where it's just they're turning,
No.
they're granted their production could, it leaves some to be desired, but at least they're not making mistakes that lead immediately to goals. They're
And that's
serviceable.
what, as
Exactly.
much as this sucks, we are getting a very good, hard, long look at who we very most likely will need to make some call-ups in the playoffs. We're not, we're very accustomed to having to make some deep calls throughout the playoffs. So it's really nice that they do get a look at these guys, a good look at all of them and not just watching them on the Eagles. So, I mean, guys like England, we don't have to bring them up blind, I think Hunt is doing decent.
Yep.
Who's the other one that I don't see
Is it Bleed?
Yeah. And
he was up here.
Bednar's just got a thing for him. I mean, he must just work really hard in practices.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not standing out a whole lot. I don't know. But it'll all, get shaken if Galchenyuk makes it up, which it sounds like they had every intention to bring him up.
I'm very excited if he does, because if it's him and Meyers, I feel like him and Meyers, out of all the players right now, they are the most primed to do the most damage while on the Avalanche squad.
For
Absolutely. But then you bring back, because there are the short-term injuries where there's, I think Gerard, he may or may not play tonight.
I hope so.
And then Bo and Byram, they're both almost back into fighting shape.
Yes. Yep.
So that, then that takes back down 2 defensive spots, which I'm guessing is going to be England and McDonald, because then your defense is going to be all together once again, which is great. But honestly, I think with the depth, it's been pretty admirable. You can't really fault them on too many things other than that.
It's not like you just have one guy filling in, from the Eagles, like one guy that can make a couple big mistakes. Like we're operating, a third of a team on the depth. You'd think that you would see more England colliding with the goalie type crap happening. You'd think that you would see a lot more. And we're still what are we in the last? We won like 7 of the last 10 games. Sometimes it feels a little doom and gloom, but
it does.
Really not doing that bad considering who we're icing and who we're playing. It's not like we haven't gotten all of our gimmies yet, short of the Finland games, Columbus.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that brings into the next game then that we played. So it was a tale of 2 cities with all the games that have been going on. I guess a tale of 3 cities if you want to be proper about it. So the St. Louis game, a very, very frustrating loss.
Right.
Then the Carolina game happens, and that was a very, very frustrating win.
That was
I don't
that was
know.
Such a confusing. It's like, okay, I felt like they should have been like sprinting out of the rink, like before somebody calls and just says, you actually didn't win that game, or just it was robbery.
Like, how in the name of Shirley Bassett did you win a game on 15 shots and you played just not a very good game? It just boggles my mind.
3 shots. It felt like we were outshot 15 to, what was it, like 47?
I think we were outshot about 1,000,000 to 1. That's what it felt like. I feel like the way we played the game, we had no business even having a goal.
And it was the best game that Frankie has ever played.
And that was the beauty of it, though. The frustrating part was the team minus Pavel Francouz. He blocked 46 of 48 shots, and the man just played the game of his career.
Right. And something we noticed is Carolina definitely plays a different style than we do. They throw a lot of junk shots.
They do.
You know, it's definitely an inflated amount of shots. But one thing that we did do well is we really did. Frankie was seeing the puck well. It seemed like we had a lot of screening. He really controlled. I mean, he was getting hit in the chest. He was gloving stuff. I mean, he really seemed to control rebounds more than I've ever seen him do. So that tells you that's a lot of shots. If he's controlling the rebounds and it's still that high.
And I will say with that England hit, you know, it was a miscommunication is what Frankie said. And here's the thing, though. I think he's just being nice about it because that's his demeanor, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, just miscommunication, good team win, all that stuff. And I'm like, no.
Even if Frankie had
in your mind, you know,
left it there, I don't understand how.
Yeah, I think, you know, on ice, and that's, you know, it's probably just one of those things where he was probably calling to leave it, and it probably was just a miscommunication. But when he got hit, I was really worried. But the only downfall,
and then
the only downfall to that was that led immediately to a goal. Because if that didn't happen, maybe you win the game in regulation time. I don't know, but even
more insane.
That would have been even more just bizarre with the game. I totally agree, because it's like they outshoot you. Everyone, it seems like, is shooting that just pummeling Francouz. He's stopping everything.
Yeah.
And then you net a couple of those just kind of, minus the new hook goals. It was kind of just the lucky shot from Rodriguez. But other than that, it was kind of just one of those, like, you couldn't do anything right. Face-offs were down. Your penalty kill, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, it was such a weird game, and you're like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to be like happy about this, but
so
but it's not like we haven't been robbed like that before. We got robbed by Connor Ingram like no one should ever. So I mean, it all evens out in the end.
It's kind of funny with the frustration part, because in that St. Louis game, I was ready to just toss my remote to the TV.
Same thing so many times.
Same thing with this Colorado game when Lehkonen nets the open or the overtime winner.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy, right? It was great feeling to win, but I was so mad because I was like, we did not deserve to win that game.
Yeah,
you know,
it was
as harsh as I sound about it, the way you play just doesn't scream you got to win, you know.
Well, and even when we went into overtime, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm totally cool. We're gonna lose overtime, and I'm
getting to overtime. That was a godsend miracle.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But you win the game, you sweep Carolina in the series, you're feeling great, you know, about just the team overall. Yeah, the Carolina game was shaky, but then you move into Washington, the old farts at the Capitol, and you blank them 4-0, and one of arguably the most complete game they've played.
I'd say, I mean, and Kemper did not play poor. That was 3 world-class shots and a bullshit goal, and that's, you know, those are the things.
That's just kind of how it goes.
But those 3 goals, Mac's goal is one that we're gonna probably see
highlight reel material.
Just beat Nuke right out of his pants. He made or Knack, not Nuke. He made Knack look just ridiculous.
I know. He's like, hey,
sending him right back to waivers.
Right back to waivers. Yep. Then now watch, we pick him up. Welcome back to the Avalanche, buddy.
That's the one. You know, I was wondering about Joe. Speaking of our waiver boys, but
I know. And what's great though, it's like you on that game, everything was running like a well-oiled machine. There were no times in that game, and remember, Washington still had a great outing. They didn't play bad by any stretch.
No, they outshot us.
They outshot us even, right? But it was just that throughout the entire game, I didn't have very many, I guess, relapses from the other two games where I'm like, great, now we're getting outshot, or great, now this,
like Battle of the Brews. They're out, what is it, like $40 million in cap? They've got Wilson, Oshie, Backstrom, Orlov.
A lot of people.
And what's just really insane is that Ovi, nothing. And who was
you shut him down.
At the time was Eric Johnson, was the man-on-man with him. And I was reading that historically, Georgie has done terrible against Ovi. Ovi is like one of his killers. It's something like Ovi's had like 14 shots and scored 8 goals on him.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a good feeling for him, because you don't know every player and how many goals they've scored versus how many shots, but you remember getting scored on by Ovi. 8.
Oh yeah. And I wonder if that was kind of the same mentality that Georgiev had. The same mentality of like the New York game, where he's going out to prove something. And I think in the Washington game, he's only there to prove something to one man, and his last name is Ovechkin, to show that, he's a better goalie than what people let on. And it's that I would think it's like a Russian to Russian player connection, where he's like, I'm gonna be better than you. We're gonna be better than you. And it's mostly kind of just a one-on-one mental type game. But what a confidence booster though for Georgiev to have his first shutout finally of the season, because you knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time as to win. That brings up the great conversation though, is who is number one as the goalies go, because you have both goalies who are playing nonsensically amazing. I don't even know if nonsensically is a word.
I would venture to say that we have the best tandem in the league at this point.
I absolutely agree. So I don't think. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
No. I really do. I don't think that you could name one who has been consistently.
Yeah, it's because right now Georgiev, he does have the better record, so I think naturally you'd want to have him in as the 1A. But I think as you have it right now, if you do like 2 games with Georgiev, 1 game with Frankie, or whenever back-to-back happens, or whatever it is,
ride them both.
I think you're just fine.
Yeah, I do think that Bednar, I mean, they're dedicated to calling Georgiev their number 1, but Bednar also said Frankie earned this game against Carolina. It's going to be a hard game, but he earned it with his last game, and so they clearly. And I mean, they're clearly dedicated. We had Francouz on our payroll for a year with a hip replacement, of not even touching the ice or thinking about it.
Yeah.
We were invested in him. But even if we have every intention to ride Georgie through the playoffs as our number 1, we may as well keep him as rested as possible and keep Frankie loose. We don't overplay either one of them. And, then Georgie's getting the consistency he needs and Frankie's staying loose. And it's just nice that Frankie's got the mentality to handle being considered the backup without pulling Georgie going to a different team.
No kidding. Well, it's interesting though, because I'm looking at who was in net, and there was a stretch between the New York games and the first Nashville game. And those were all Georgiev. But since then, it has alternated from Francouz to Georgiev.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe that's kind of the stride that they'll take, is try to get both of them to hit, I guess, a good stride, if it will, because we've talked about this a few times on episodes past, is Georgiev does a lot better when he has repetition. Ben Francouz does well when he's honestly put under pressure.
Yeah.
And so if you have just the right amount of games, like we said, a 2-1, I think that's great. I think that's the right way to go. And the thing is, like what you said, if something happens to Georgiev, or if he just is not the hot hand for the moment, you switch to Francouz, and you are still just as fine. And then it will, it'll happen. So I think right now, as far as our goalies go, you hit it right on the head. We have the best tandem in the league right now, and it shows. Yeah. So definitely, it's a good problem to have too, because if it was like Francouz is struggling or Georgiev is struggling, then the answers would be obvious. But right now, it's plug and play.
Yeah.
So very good stuff though. Like I said, 2-1 on the week. You hate the loss because you would have been winning 8 in a row, But
Yeah.
we start a new streak, which is great.
Yeah.
And we have the ability to, by the end of this week, have that streak be at 5.
Right. Especially for road games. I mean,
oh yeah,
with where we sit, we were thinking if we could take home, if you can go 500 with maybe an overtime loss, and a win and a loss, but I mean, 3 wins would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, I think. Oh no, there's 3 teams but 4 games. Sorry, I totally messed that up. But anyway, so let's move into our weekly look ahead then. So we have a game tonight in about an hour is when the puck drops against the Dallas Stars, and you're at Dallas, which is not a very Avalanche friendly setting historically. It has not been fun. Which was kind of why, like last year, I was really hoping that we got Nashville instead of Dallas, and I'm glad we did, because Dallas took Calgary all the way to 7.
To lose to lesser Dallas teams.
So it's like I said, it's one of the big worries though is Ottinger, is how he's going to play. Is he going to be that round 1 Ottinger from last year? It's difficult, but right now they've shown the vulnerability in the last few games.
Yeah.
So I think it should be okay as far as just overall pace of the game goes for both of them that happen. So I guess first key to the game against Dallas, have a quick draw in the standoff. And that was kind of a little play on words for the Lone Star State. But what I mean though is you need to be quick, not necessarily in the pace of game and how speedy you are, but you need to win those small battles. I'm talking about like face-offs and stuff like that.
Do that. Nope.
Well, that's what you got to do though. That's a key. That's a key to the game. But it's small things like that. If you're just quick on the draw, as far as like make a faster pass or have a decision made immediately, so it's not just a let me think on what to do. If you have like a breakaway chance, for example, am I going to pass now, or do you already have shoot in mind? Be ready to have those quick draw moments, because they'll come. Face-offs, making decisions with the puck, penalties, power plays, whatever it is. You need to kind of have the quicker decision, because Dallas, they're one of those kind of picky teams, I guess, if you want to call it. They have that know-how already set.
Right.
They're a team that they don't really like to think, so to speak. They just do. And that's what we need to replicate.
Yep.
Point number 2, keys to the game, on ice communication. And I only say this because there was the one run-in with a one Pavel Francouz and a one Andreas England. Just make sure that you have a plan already set, because sometimes when they blow the whistle and the puck is dead, they have the little group get together moments. Just make sure you're still doing that. Because the last thing you want is to have a miscommunication on a bad pass, or when someone's banging their stick, they're saying, "Hey, I'm ready for a pass," and it's just like you don't hear it or something like that. Just make sure that you're talking all the time, at all times. I think it's usually a pretty okay thing, but I just noticed from like the Carolina game, it seemed like that was one of the bad moments in the game. Is there's no communication.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that's glaringly obvious with how many depth players we have from the Eagles. I mean, when you consider we're basically playing with, half a new team, but it does seem like it's coming together. So hopefully, I mean, this is a huge game. I honestly think that this is the biggest measuring stick game that we've had thus far. And we'll see if they can put it all together, because they've had a little bit of time to practice. They've played a couple games, so it'd be really nice for it to all come together tonight.
Be fantastic, for
sure. And yeah, McKinnon is. It seemed like Mackey's so much tighter with his passing, but he seems to be shooting more this year, which I don't know.
Yeah, there was a stretch last season where he wasn't doing any scoring. Do you remember that?
No,
he was just assisting and assisting.
Like he is this year. Was he? Because this year seems like wildly high for assists. But
yeah,
I would love to see Mac just shoot every time he touched the puck. Honestly, I love garbage goals, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Matt goes for more shots tonight, considering the goalie that we're playing, because it's going to take some sharpshooting. So
Absolutely. And with McKinnon though, I think whenever he gets the puck, you can tell because he's about 1,000,000 miles an hour faster than anyone else on the
yeah, the
ice.
way he like dribbles the puck as he moves,
It's very
my
quick.
Mac the other night was like, God, he moves his stick so fast. No,
He does. And that's just it though. It's like
exhausting to watch.
I think what needs to happen though, especially on those chances where he gets the puck and he's just a full just train down the slot or wherever he's going into the offensive zone, there's got to be a second guy back there because he's already drawn 2 defenders on him. That's what it takes in order to stop him.
It truly is that's how you end up with
Exactly
Brandon open in the slot or that
exactly
open. I mean, it's those.
That just needs to happen, I think, and that could be part of that. The quick draw, like I was saying, is just if you have someone that's already there to take that pass after the two drawn defenders are there on McKinnon, it's just you and the goalie, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be if we see plenty of those opportunities, and that's what happens. I'm giving myself 1,000,000 high fives because that'd be something that's like, yeah, we called it. Anyways, so point number 3: hurry back on defense. Now, hockey we know is a game that's constantly shifting offense and defense. Transitions happen all over the board.
I know I'm having a technical difficulty here. Don't mind me.
Oh, you're good. So with Dallas, though, I'd noticed they like to try to get those quick draws, as far as trying to get the cherry picker the puck and have him be the guy right behind, right in front of the defense and zooms into the offensive zone. You got to hurry back on defense because they like to try to do those super fast cross the neutral zone passes into the offensive zone where there's a guy pretty much waiting at the blue line and all he does is usher it in and then they set up shop there. Yeah. So hurry, just if you can, which I know they can, they're a very fast team themselves. You got to hurry back on defense because it's those where the chaos then ensues and all of a sudden next thing you know it's a puck in the back of the net.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I mean, they've got Robertson. I mean, they're definitely faster this year, but they do play a very mucky game also. I think that we can outpace them, and that's what we're going to have to do, smart and fast. But they have a tenured team also. Jamie Benn is having this sudden resurgence and coming back from the dead, I guess. So, it'll be interesting. Pavelski, like I always say, he's an Avs killer. He'll score 2 goals because he just does. It's like there's some potion that he takes before every Avs game too.
He does. I absolutely believe that. He takes the smelling salts and just dumps them in his Gatorade. Keeps him sprying awake all the game. So those are the 3 key points to the Dallas game, and this will apply to both because it's going to be the same team tonight as it's more probably I was hope so. Same team tonight as it's going to be on Saturday. The game is Saturday, right? The second one, Saturday, and that Saturday game, it's back home. They're wearing their reverse retros. Yeah, I'm super excited. Mine came in the mail.
Nice.
It's all packed up actually in my suitcase. We're headed up to my in-laws for the holiday, but I'm going to be wearing that while I'm watching the game. You better believe it. It looks a lot better in person actually, which is very nice.
I like the jersey itself. But I wish that they would have carried some of the red into the Breezers when I saw the full get up. The Breezers,
they're wearing I think blue pants,
blue gloves, I think,
and a blue bucket. So
it's we'll see. I think it'll look
with the numbers. I think we need to see it with the numbers to see the full get up. I've played it already in my NHL video game. They're already released, and I'm like, okay, I like it. So that'll be an exciting game for sure. Debut in the reverse retro. So anyway, moving on to the other game. So you have the Dallas game tonight. A couple days later, you are hosting the Canucks, who they cannot seem to get out of their own way. It's the saddest thing. Oh, it's just you hate to see it.
Entertaining trades supposedly for so they're in a bad place, and once again,
they're in a very dark position.
They should not suck. Is what's like, it's just, I don't know. They should not be this bad. There's no reason. So that tells you that there's also no reason that they might come trap game and
Oh
kick
yeah.
us. So
This could definitely be one of those.
yeah.
So the keys to Vancouver is key number 1, play Avalanche hockey, right? And so let me kind of give a little pre-story here before I go into the play Avalanche hockey game. One thing that I think is so comical whenever there's post-game interviews or pre-game interviews or mid-intermission interviews, whatever it is, I swear every single player has the same phrase: "We just got to keep playing our game." And it drives me up a wall because I just want them to be like, well, what is that game? You know what I mean? Like, could you be less specific, please? But the Avalanche way that we know from the postseason up until even now, it's outpacing, outshooting, outperforming, and playing to the physicality of their
Right.
team, the other team.
Right.
That to me is Avalanche hockey.
Mhm.
If you can just do that, controlling the puck, controlling the pace, everything like that, you're in great position to eliminate what could be a trap game where Canucks all of a sudden, kind of like Seattle, you weren't expecting much from them, but you got a bigger output than you were
Right.
and
Well,
than you
and
wanted to hold on
a
to.
lot of the difference could be Demko. I mean, he is an elite goalie who has been sucking butt lately. I mean, he is just he's
Not
in a
good.
bad place mentally, and I think he actually did an interview that like he's got some head stuff going on, and it's crazy because 2 years ago he was an up and coming to be one of the best, and so if he figures it out, we can just help one more team, propel them to greatness.
Well, and that's actually one thing that I'm going to talk about in the Nashville bit. But it just seems like they're just like a shell of themselves from last
Right.
season. They're not the same caliber, him and Saros, that they were last year. And so
Right.
that's one thing you
That
got to,
should be
first
one
of
of the
all.
better tandems.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's only going to get worse when we get Horvat at the deadline.
That's right. Is that who you think we're gonna get?
I
think
don't know. I just wanna.
we're gonna get Kane and Taves and Horvat, and
And Crosby.
we're getting Crosby. We're gonna get all these players. But yeah, just right now, just play the Avalanche way, and you'll be in good shape. Point number 2, and this is kind of what we just mentioned: let Vancouver get in their own way. It just seems like every single game,
Right.
they have like a multiple goal lead, and it just disappears.
And it's like they did it for the first 5 games they had blown leads, and almost all of them, I think. And it's like, okay, this cannot continue. And it just has. I mean, it's just, I don't know. They always say like the checking point is American Thanksgiving, and it's like you're still doing this.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
Ugh.
Yeah, for sure. I like this comment real fast. It says, "Hello, this is Richie." That says, "Hello from the Great White North." And I was almost like, Buffalo, because they got absolutely dumped on for snow for the Bills game and whatnot. But Canada, man, love to hear it. Welcome in. So point number 3 is keep that power play strong, because Vancouver is not. Last I checked, they're not very okay on the penalty kill. So now would be a great time to practice that 5 or 6 on 3 that you messed up on against St. Louis. But I think right now, I think are we still number 1 as far as our penalty kills or our power play is concerned, or has it kind of tapered away?
I would think that we are, because our PK, I mean, we have killed. I'll have to look.
Yeah,
we're definitely up there because
definitely good. That's for sure. So if you keep the power play strong, there was one, it was against Washington, where I think we had the puck 90% of the time in our own offensive zone, which was fantastic. Putting shots on there, and eventually one went in. But it was great to see that we had fantastic control of the puck. If there was a rebound, we went and got it. and started the cycle all over again. And I thought it was great. So
Yeah.
just keep that power play strong and kind of just make Vancouver wish they never flew into the Rockies,
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, Rich, there you go. 6 hours north of Buffalo. Oh, 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, it's a heck no for me.
Those are rookie numbers, Rich. You need to up those, my man. No, I'm just kidding. But we'll go on to the last one here into Nashville. So we did just recently play them as Avatar. We'll bring up this here where we're sitting with our penalty kill and power play. We just played Nashville, the game that was dedicated to Dearest Maxie.
Yeah, we are still number 1 on the power play.
Yeah.
I forgot Edmonton, they're number 2.
They are.
They're still.
So.
Yeah, dominating that.
Good. Then we're in great shape. Then I think as far as those two are. Well, I shouldn't say as far as those two are concerned. As far as the penalty kill, yeah, 24th. It looks like here is that that's not very good. So Nashville. This time it's in Nashville. My biggest concern right now is too many men on the ice at any given time. Any shift change, I'm worried that the referee is going to blow the whistle and we're all of a sudden down a man. I can't. I'm not over that. In case you can't tell.
Yeah.
So point number 1, key number 1 to the game is the country is wide open. What I mean by that is if you spread the ice around, don't play compact. That's kind of the Nashville way is to kind of play compact, play tight, be always up against you at all times. If you spread the ice, spread the wealth, pass the puck around, and trap them inside their own tight little circle, I think that's a really good key to the game, especially when you think about kind of, we talked about Demko, how he's not doing too hot. Same with Saros. I thought he was going to be elite tier like he was last year, and it's not the same right now.
No.
So if you're able to do that, I think you're in a great situation. Point number 2 is this one's my favorite one. Key to the game number 2. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. So basically what it is the game that we played against them a couple weeks ago, was great. They had a couple of gimme goals here, like in the last period. But overall, the game was very well done. The Avs put together a really good showing. And honestly, I think if you just do that, you like it, you love it, you want some more of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, essentially. So.
Then there's the number 1 priority. Just don't let Matt Duchene score.
Well, yeah. Is that... I don't know. I'm
not angry. I just don't want him to score. It's us. Otherwise, I don't really care.
I'm still on the fence about it.
We've been properly whatever. We've gotten ours out of it. I feel like we came out ahead in the long run.
Yeah. So we did. Obviously with the Stanley Cup. Yeah. They let's see. The year Nashville went to the Stanley Cup Finals, they didn't have Duchene, did they? That was before Duchene moved on. Or was that the same year? Oh, I can't remember now.
I don't know.
Dang.
I don't know. It feels like it was 100 years ago.
Because I want to say if he was after, then I could be like, look, we went to the Stanley Cup Final and won the Stanley Cup Final. I could kind of hang both of those over the head. But at the same time, it's like he's been gone for a while. Let it die. But half of me is like, no. It's a weird thing to have. But anyways, so third key to the game against Nashville, do something about the face-off taker. I'm looking at one Nathan McKinnon, who is elite tier, best in the league, will forever be etched in the Avalanche Hall of Fame and NHL Hall of Fame.
Right.
But the man cannot take face-offs very well. Now, mind you, this is coming from me, who cannot even skate but just watching it, I'm just like,
No,
as
and
soon
it's
as like,
getting more just it's redundant at this point, and it's just we're to the point that we've accepted it, like it's not going to get better. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's
that's why I really missed Naz Kadri, is because his face-offs, the ones he was in without being kicked out, he would do great.
I
He'd win
swear to
them.
God, every face off last night had someone kicked out. I swear, every single face
It
off
did.
from
It
either
did.
team. And I don't know if that used to happen nearly as often. There was one where he kicked him out of the face off, kicked Lehkonen, I think, out of the face off after, or maybe it was somebody weird, maybe it was Colorado. But anyway, we lost the face off and they still blew the whistle and redid the face off and
I
kicked
know.
us out. And it's like,
It's
we
so
won.
ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's like we're not going to win the face-off anyways. Like,
Right. But the thing is, like, especially when it comes to like power plays and penalty kills, like those moments are so important, and especially when
they
we're
are.
relying so much on our power play. Like, I
Oh
just
yeah.
it's if it feels like it should be a bigger deal. You know, it's not like it's something that Bednar is really talking about a lot, or that really anyone's talking about other than like throughout the games. You know, when it's I don't know. It seems like it should be a bigger deal, but maybe statistically it's not as big of a deal as it.
Well, statistically though, who's our best face-off taker right now? Do you happen to know
Me.
that off the top of your head? I'm putting you on the spot there, but
I
it
don't
just it cannot possibly be McKinnon.
I don't think that there's
There's
any
got to be someone else.
standout. I don't know that there is a standout. I mean, I don't think Gabe is fantastic at them, but I think that he'll definitely raise our numbers. Didn't he take? I'm trying to think. Last year, who did Kadri take face-offs for? Like, didn't
As far as
they like switch his line changes so that he could take like an additional face-off for? Never mind. Don't mind me. I think I'm going.
No, I just remember though, Kadri with the face-offs that he had, it was interesting because he was kicked out of, I swear, like 106% of them.
Right.
But the ones he was in, he was able to get the draw, but it was a clean draw. That was the big thing, because with the ones that McKinnon does win, they're not like a very clean win. He has to like fight and scratch back again to get even to even have the puck come in our direction, you know.
Yeah.
So I that's why I'm thinking, like, once Nichushkin comes back, he's got to be the guy. Helm, even, I remember he was pretty all right at it.
Right.
But just
The thing is,
someone else.
even
Someone else.
mediocrity would be cool at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that's key to the game. Number 3 is just Nate, I love you, man. I really do. But we need to get somebody else in the face-off circle until he either eats his Wheaties or chickpea cereal, I should say, or spinach, and just goes full Popeye on the face-offs and just wins 100% of them. Because right now, I think that's the one big gaffe I have with the team right now, is that those things can prove costly, especially when it comes down to crunch time situations, like what you were saying. It's like if you're down a point and there's like less than a minute left in the game, but you're in your own offensive zone, are you confident with the face-off in that point? You know,
no, and that's
yeah, exactly. I'm not right now.
When you literally get 2 shifts, you know, you might only get 1 shift in an overtime, and winning those face-offs, places where it's just, I don't know. It's just a bizarre concept to me at this point.
Yeah. So hopefully that's something they work on in practice. But again, it's something that you definitely miss. Right now, it's just not our strong suit. Everything else is okay, but face-offs are just not.
Yeah, there's not many things that we don't at least like fluctuate into decency. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's wild. But I guess we compensate for it in other.
We do, and that's just it, though. It's like the face-offs, yeah, for being as small of an item, they can be a big problem.
Right.
The only reason I say that is because the record, we have a really great record, where we have a winning record. You know, it's fantastic. You love it. You're 10-5-1. Of those games, I don't think we've won the face-off percentage at all. not even by a long shot. I think the closest we came actually was like 45%.
Yep.
So the fact that you're still winning games, even with a low faceoff percentage, is still very promising, but it would be even more, I guess, lucrative if you do.
Right.
So, and anyway, so we're talking a bunch about faceoffs, but the fact of the matter is there's a game
for a
here.
goalie and someone that doesn't play.
I know for a goalie and someone who doesn't even play hockey, you know, we're sure giving a lot of criticism
Yeah,
out.
armchair coaches.
We're Jeff armchair coach. That's exactly what we are. Because you should see. That reminds me of a little funny tidbit here before we wrap up. So I was watching the Carolina game. Mind you, I'm in my PJs and I got like these little like microwave dumplings on the side of my couch. And I'm slouched down there and I'm like pointing to the TV saying, "We can't do anything. Like, get your heads in the game." And I look like an absolute slob. It was a great
There's
moment.
many times that I'm yelling with Cheetos flying out of my mouth.
Oh, it's amazing. Yep. So that's why I just stick to being the fanatic when it comes to these types of things. Because if it were really up to me for coaching, I would probably be in a lot of hot water after the first period of the first game. But I love it. It's great stuff. But anyway, so we got puck drop here in a half an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'll be probably freaking out, tweeting like crazy because I feel like this game is going to be eventful. It's either
it definitely will be
or very not. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Because you play Dallas twice, and that's first and second in the division.
Right.
So this is going to be very important.
Yeah, we've got 4 big points, and this game determines how the next game is going to be. So we'll see who gets that fire. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
We shall. Once again, everyone, we are the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network. I've been Nick, always have been. That's been Brittany. Don't forget, again, if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever you get your social media and podcast information. You can catch us live, obviously, here on YouTube. Listen to us. I believe we have Spotify and Apple Podcasts the day after, ready to rock and roll. If you do like what you saw, go ahead and follow the network, MHRT Network, on the social media platforms. And if you want to follow us specifically, it's Cluster Puck Avs on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook is the Cluster Puck Podcast. Email is clusterpuckavs or clusterpuckpodcast@gmail.com. I'm praying for a win. I definitely think we'll get it. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I don't have anything else to add. Britt, what about you?
Thanks for joining us. I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. I think you got it all. But
perfect.
This far, thank you.
Go Avs, go, everybody. We'll see you later.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Because this party is over.